Hi friends, I'm Cynthia and today I'm going to show you how I made my strawberry crumble for my strawberry cheesecake crumble cake. Here are some of the ingredients. I am using flour, instant pudding, butter, and a few utensils. To begin, I have 1 stick of unsalted room temperature butter and I went ahead and parted it in half, and I'm adding half to one bowl and the other half to the other bowl. I will be adding 1 whole packet of strawberry instant pudding to one of my bowls. It is a little bit harder to find strawberry instant pudding, so you may have to find it online. This specific one I got at Walmart and it is a limited time flavor. In my other bowl, I will be adding cheesecake flavored instant pudding. You can also substitute this part for vanilla instant pudding. Now I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour into each of my bowls. I do also have extra flour in case my mix is a little bit too buttery, because what I want in the end is for my crumble to be crunchy and not soggy. So at the end, if we need the extra flour, we will be adding it in. Now what we want to do is take a fork and simply cut the butter into the pudding and flour mixture. You can also use a pastry cutter or one of those little things that you use to make pie crust. And I'm going to go ahead and mix the strawberry instant pudding first. When you first start to do this, it is going to be a little bit difficult and time consuming, but at the end, everything is going to start coming together. And like I mentioned earlier, if you feel like your mixture is too buttery or too soggy, we can definitely add another 1/8 of a cup of flour into our mixture. As you can see, although we did mix our strawberry pudding, we aren't getting the color that we want. Usually for these recipes, people use instant jello strawberry mix, and it is a lot more pigmented than instant pudding in this case is. So I did go ahead and add a little bit of magenta or hot pink by Wilton, and this is an edible color that you can find at your local grocery store. I did go ahead and add a little bit more of this hot pink because I do want my color to be a little bit more vibrant once it bakes and once I let it dry and add it onto my cake later on. For the cheesecake mix, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing that I did with the strawberry, which is basically cutting into the butter and mixing it with the rest of the dry ingredients. For this part, you can also use vanilla pudding. It doesn't have to be cheesecake pudding. And I do want to let you know that for this entire recipe, you can definitely change the flavors of the puddings to adjust it to whatever your cake is. So for example, let's say that you're making lemon crumb cake. You can substitute the strawberry pudding for lemon instant pudding, and you can also use cheesecake or vanilla pudding for this part that we're mixing now. I hope that makes sense, and I hope I didn't totally confuse you. At this point, I wasn't satisfied with the texture of both of my pudding mixes, so I did go ahead and add another 1/8 of a cup to both my strawberry and cheesecake mix. This way our crumb is a lot drier, and when we bake it, it'll bake a lot crunchier and less soggy. Now that both of my mixtures are ready, I'm gonna go ahead and layer them onto my baking sheet. My baking sheet is lined with one of those non-stick little mats, but you can also use parchment paper. I'm going to start with the cheesecake crumble first. You can start whichever way you want, but basically what our goal is to lay down both of these mixes very flat so that when we go to bake, everything bakes evenly and everything is crunchy. So I'm just going to use a spatula to kind of swift this around, and I'm gonna put down a little bit of the cheesecake crumble, a little bit of strawberry, a little bit of cheesecake, and a little bit of strawberry until I'm done. You don't have to mix the mixtures while you're putting them on the pan, because at the end we are going to crumble both of them together, but I just feel like this gives it a lot more of a consistent crumb when it comes to crumbling everything in color. So I do like to mix it while it's in the pan, and then once I'm satisfied with the way that it's mixed, I'm going to take my hands and simply pat the whole thing down to an even flat layer before I bake it in the oven. I do want to add that adding that 1/8 of a cup of flour helped a lot, because the first batch that I made, although I baked it for a longer time, it never got really crunchy. It was soggy and then it started to burn. So that 1/8 of a cup that we added at the end of flour really helps to make this crumble a lot crunchier, a lot tastier, and it gives a lot more texture. Here's how my crumble topping looks once I've pressed it down into my baking sheet. I did go ahead and preheat my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I did bake my crumble for 12 minutes. When my crumble came out of the oven, I did let it rest and cool off for approximately 15 minutes. And for this next part, you can definitely use a food processor if you have one, but I don't have a food processor, so I did go ahead and crumble this topping with my hands. You can also certainly insert or put this topping into a little baggie and smash it with an object. You can do many things, but here I just used what I had on hand, which was my hands. Please keep in mind that if you are making this crumble to sell or for treats that you will sell to customers, you can definitely use gloves. However, this is for a family event, and I did find that using my hands to crumble this topping helped a lot, because once I was crumbling, I wasn't really satisfied with the texture. So what I did is I went ahead and crumbled the whole thing, and then I placed the topping back into an even layer. And while I did this, I preheated my oven to 350 degrees again, and I placed my topping to bake for another 5 minutes. So my recommendation is, depending on how crunchy you want this topping, you can bake your topping between 12, which is a little bit of soft crumbs, or for an entire 17 minutes for a more crispy and crunchy crumble. I will definitely put these tips at the end. I'll also put them in my blog, so don't feel like you have to memorize them, but I'll leave you with the rest of the video so you can keep watching what I'm doing. Here's how my crumble turned out after I baked it for the second time. I did go ahead and store my crumble in a Ziploc bag for later use. You can definitely store it in an airtight container or a Ziploc baggie for up to a week, and it stays very fresh. I used my crumble to decorate my strawberry cheesecake cake. I will definitely show you the recipe for this cake and the frosting too. I really hope that you love this crumble recipe and that you try it. Please let me know if you do have any questions in the comments below. Definitely subscribe before you leave. Don't forget to share with your friends and hit the like button before you go. I'll talk to you next time. Bye!